So we've got some Mean Girls level BS going on right now by Alina Habba, Pamela Jo, and I guess Todd Blanche doesn't want to miss the chance to show his petty, bitchy resting face kind of energy here. So let's talk about the updates. As you'll recall, just a few days ago here at the Katie Phang News Channel, we had talked about the prospect of Alina Habba being unemployed as of Tuesday, July 22nd, which was yesterday. And we talked about why. It's because, one, she's a partisan hack. Two, she has no prosecutorial experience. And listen, I would forgive that if the parking lot lawyer actually had some real legal experience, but she doesn't. Three, let's just go off her track record alone. It sucks. Four, putting aside that she cannot see legitimate rule of law issues to their conclusion, as evidenced by her failed measure of prosecution so far as the interim U.S. attorney in New Jersey, Habba clearly is not fit or competent to be able to have this job. It's a critically important job. So now you have not only Habba, but Pamela Jo Bondi, Todd Blanche, et al., thinking with a level of arrogance that is just so typical of Republicans that they're smarter than the basically 19 federal judges that sit in the district court in New Jersey that, I don't know, collectively have decades more experience than Alina Habba, who then also think that she is not fit to serve in that position as the U.S. attorney, and that given the opportunity, these judges said, you're just not cutting it, Alina. Now those people, Blanche, Bondi, Habba, and others, think that their wisdom should surpass, supplant, and supersede that of all of these federal judges. So let's get into the details here, because that is where the devil lives, that in the White House. So there was a convening of these judges on Monday afternoon. I had reported about that here at the Katie Phang News Channel, that they were going to be meeting. Why? Because Tuesday, ostensibly, was the expiry of the 120-day window by which Alina Habba has been serving as the interim U.S. attorney. And before anybody's like, where'd that number come from? It didn't come from me. It is the number that is ascribed to in the federal laws that say that if you're an interim, adjective interim, then you only serve for 120 days. So, given that there may be some confusion as to whether or not it ends yesterday or ends on Friday, big whooping deal of a difference, these judges convened on Monday and they were having this meeting. And part of what they did was they decided at this meeting on Monday that a young woman, but incredibly experienced and by all accounts, the most popular person in the United States Attorney's Office, which you and I both know must have killed Alina Habba, because again, mean girl energy is totally Alina Habba. Regina George, 100%. Although actually wouldn't that presume that Alina had some measure of popularity, because it sounds like she didn't. So these judges decided that the first assistant U.S. attorney, and so it's basically Alina Habba and then this young woman, that her name is Desiree Lee Grace is her name, and that Miss Grace would end up being the U.S. attorney. Okay? So no ironies here. Clearly, Alina Habba must think that this woman is incredibly competent and capable. Why? Because Alina actually appointed and gave the first assistant U.S. attorney position to Desiree Lee Grace earlier this year. So it's not like Alina could turn around and say that this woman wasn't qualified to have the job. So these judges convene and they enter an order. And I'm going to read the order and you're going to see it on your screen right now. And this is what the order says. Ready? It's very short. Standing order signed by the Chief Judge of the District of New Jersey. Her name is the Honorable Renee Marie Bumb, B-U-M-B, a Republican president nominated appointed federal judge. Okay, so according to this order, the United States District Court for the District of New Jersey appoints Desiree Lee Grace as the United States Attorney for the District of New Jersey. The appointment is effective July 22nd, again yesterday, or upon the expiration of 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General of the interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba, whichever is later. So look, it hedges, right? Because apparently there is a kind of grace period of about 4 days maybe on this. And so these federal judges said, you know what? And trust me, federal judges know how to draft orders. These federal judges said, you know what? We're going to say it's either effective Tuesday, July 22nd, or on the expiration of the 120 days, whenever that is, which some people say is this Friday. Done and ordered in Camden, New Jersey, this 22nd day of July, 2025. That's it. It's an order, people. Look at the top of the language. Standing order. Meaning it's a judicial order. Meaning it has to be obeyed and complied with. And once again, we have a glaring example of how the United States of America, via the Trump administration, via these people in the Department of Justice, think that they don't have to listen to orders. Because within hours of this order being entered and within hours of Miss Grace being appointed the United States Attorney in Jersey, the current Attorney General, Pamela Jo Bondi, posts on social media. And we got to go here for a hot second. The level of social media posting by people in the Department of Justice suggests that these people don't have anything better to be doing, which they should be. But anyway, this is what Pamela Jo posts. Let's check out what she says. She says here that Alina Habba has been doing a great job at making New Jersey safe again. Questionable. Not questionable. Wrong. It's a lie. Nonetheless, politically minded judges refused to allow her to continue in her position, replacing Alina with the first assistant. Politically minded judges. Accordingly, the first assistant U.S. attorney in New Jersey has just been removed. Okay, no. According to this judicial order, she pretty much was the U.S. attorney, so Alina gets it wrong once again. This Department of Justice does not tolerate rogue judges, especially when they threaten the president's core Article 2 powers. Okay. The president did not appoint and install Alina Habba as the United States attorney. She was the interim U.S. attorney, and according to the federal statutes, she was subject to removal after 120 days. But this adjective rogue is very popular in the Trump administration, very popular with Todd Blanche and others. They love to call judges and others rogue. They talk about politicians, people, Americans, when they don't like what the other side is doing. Instead of putting on your big girl panties, Pamela Jo, and actually understanding that maybe there are decisions that are critical to the people of New Jersey that are not partisan and are not politicized, she, as in Bondi, decides that she wants to make it a political thing. So lying down, spinning up in the air, trying to say that other people are making political decisions. By the way, in case you were wondering, that Chief Judge, Renee Marie Bum, she was actually a George W. Bush appointment, in case you were wondering. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, apparently, and according to reporting, and this is kind of crazy, it wasn't just like Desiree Lee Grace was said, you are being removed by Pam Bondi as the U.S. attorney in New Jersey. According to media reports, she received an email on Tuesday, and this is according to the New York Times. An email was received by Miss Grace on Tuesday informing her, quote, that she had been fired. Fired. And then I was like, okay, fired? What does fired mean, right? Because fired could be you've gotten fired from your job as U.S. attorney, but hey, you still get to work in the Department of Justice. Well, more reporting suggests that she actually was literally fired from the Department of Justice. I'm not kidding you. That's what it says here in the media reporting, that Department of Justice officials granted anonymity to describe a personal decision, confirmed that Grace had been fired entirely from the Department of Justice. And this is according to Politico's reporting. I told you it was Mean Girls petty stuff, right? So this woman who had been working for more than 16 years at the Department of Justice, who was, again, by all accounts, an incredibly dedicated, devoted, and excellent career public servant, because she was selected by competent federal judges to be able to serve in a role as the U.S. attorney. She not only got fired from the job as U.S. attorney, but she got fired from her job, period, end of story. Does that sound like a lawful termination to you? Okay. So here's the deal. So we know what Bondi's position was on this, right? I mean, she clearly was not supportive of this. And then here's how things work, though. So the Attorney General of the United States cannot fire a U.S. attorney. Only President Trump can do it. Convicted felon Donald Trump can do that. And that's according to Steve Vladeck, our dear friend that you guys all know so well. He's a constitutional law professor at Georgetown University. He's one of my go-tos. So Steve is like, look, an attorney general cannot fire a U.S. attorney that's appointed by the district judges in this instance as it is, because they were doing it pursuant to the United States Code, pursuant to federal statutes when it deals with vacancies in these positions of U.S. attorneys. Only the president of the United States can do it. I can envision a scenario within which Bondi says, I was acting as an agent on behalf of Trump when I did this. Either way, it doesn't pass the constitutional muster test. And it also, again, just smacks of just retaliation against these judges. Like I just told you, some of whom are Republican appointed judges. And so not only was it wrong on its face to do it, but it's wrong legally what just ended up happening to Desiree Lee Grace. Now, here's the thing, too. The New Jersey senators, Cory Booker and Andy Kim, they made it explicitly, painfully clear that Alina Habba will never get Senate confirmation to be the United States attorney in New Jersey. So there's this process called the blue slip and the return of the blue slip. And it's kind of gone by the wayside when it's come to certain judicial appointments, but when it's come to United States attorney appointments, still applies. So if the state senators, the United States senators from a state do not support a nominee for a role like U.S. attorney, ain't gonna happen in that state. And Cory Booker and Andy Kim, before this incident yesterday, made it explicitly clear they did not think Alina Habba was fit for the job. And now they are doubly confirming that they do not believe that she is fit for the job, and they will never return an affirmative vote for her to be confirmed as the U.S. attorney. So the fact that Alina Habba thinks, or that anybody in the Department of Justice thinks, including the Oval Office, by the way, that they think that there's a pathway to success for Habba in this instance for this job is freaking nuts. And yet, what does the Oval Office say? This is the Oval Office's response. The Trump administration looks forward to her final confirmation in the U.S. Senate and will work tirelessly to ensure the people of New Jersey are well represented. But here's the thing. The people in New Jersey really don't want this. Why? What has Alina Habba done? Let's refresh your recollection. Putting aside her failed tenure as personal counsel to Donald Trump, she arrested Newark Mayor Ras Baraka and then had to dismiss the charges a week later after she also got excoriated and publicly dressed down by a federal judge for her failure to exercise her prosecutorial discretion appropriately. She has indicted a sitting Congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, which is wrong as well, for that same incident that happened within which Mayor Baraka was arrested. She has told her office as the interim U.S. attorney to launch politically charged investigations into the governor of New Jersey and the attorney general of New Jersey. I mean, I could still go on and on and on. So Habba thinks that that is great representation for the state of New Jersey. Well, she's just straight up dumb and wrong. So let's talk about a similar situation. Actually, stand by for a second. I do want to refresh everybody's recollection too. Todd Blanche had decided that, remember at the beginning of this, Todd Blanche was like, ooh, let me get involved in being petty here. So Todd Blanche also on social media, and by the way, using the cesspool of X/Twitter, because suddenly that's, official means of communication for these people. Todd Blanche yesterday stating that the district judges in New Jersey forced out Habba, then installed her deputy, colluding with New Jersey senators along the way. I mean, this is defamatory shit right here. Pursuant to the president's authority, we have removed that deputy effective immediately. This backroom vote will not override the authority of the chief executive. I mean, if there's anybody who knows about backroom deals, it would be Blanche, it would be Trump, it would be Bondi, it would be Habba. I mean, these people know what they're talking about. But when they're accusing sitting federal judges of colluding, that's some strong language. When they're accusing and alleging that federal judges have done some type of backroom deals, has some nefarious kind of connotations, no? I mean, it's pretty damn defamatory. And I just think, strike that. I know it's just more indicia of the lack of respect that this administration has for the judiciary. And I have said this for weeks. The judiciary needs to stiffen that spine a little bit. Grow a pair, right? Like, let's show the executive and let's show these people that are actually ironically within the same branch of government, if you're at the Department of Justice, although kind of not, but show them, federal judges, that you're not going to take this lying down, because that is an incredibly, incredibly rude and disrespectful attack on your credibility as a judge. So here's the deal. And by the way, this is not just limited to Alina Habba. You want to know what's going on here? Let's talk about what's going on here. Last week in Albany, New York, same thing went down. A Trump pick, a guy by the name of John A. Sarcone or Sarcone III, Sarcone III, if you want to look him up. He was an interim U.S. attorney in New York, in the Northern District, right? Up there near Albany. So his term expired and the judges were like, ain't gonna happen either. We don't want him. And so the judges were like, we're not voting for this guy. Okay. So what do they end up doing? You're going to like this. They end up doing, as in Bondi and Trump and the DOJ. The DOJ appointed this Sarcone guy as a, quote, special attorney to the Attorney General, as well as the first assistant United States attorney in the Northern District of New York, giving him 2 hats to wear, even though the guy's not competent to wear even one. And so the Sarcone now, pursuant to the Vacancy Reform Act, he'll now be serving as the acting U.S. attorney for at least 7 months. I mean, these people are tone deaf, no? Like, if these judges are telling you that they don't respect somebody to be able to serve in this capacity as U.S. attorney, you're not going to shove this person down the judges' throats as well. I mean, I just want to make sure it's clear. Does that mean then those are rogue judges in the Northern District of New York? Just like the rogue judges in New Jersey? Again, that adjective rogue is only used when people on the other side are doing something you don't like. It is not grounded in fact or reality. I mean, truly, the Republicans are living in an alternate universe. They are truly the party of alternate facts, are they not? Let's talk about this Sarcone guy briefly before we part ways, because you got to really know what this dude's all about. This Sarcone guy, apparently at a news conference in May of this year, apparently showed his ignorance of the First Amendment, as well as legal limits that are placed on the telecom industry. And this is according to the Times Union, a publication out of that area. And then in June of this year, he called 911, he did not call 911, but he called the cell phone of the Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple. Okay, so he accuses an undocumented immigrant from El Salvador that the guy was wielding a knife and tried to kill him outside of a hotel in Albany. So instead of calling 911, he calls the Albany County Sheriff's cell phone. Then, after surveillance footage was reviewed and released by investigators, it actually showed that this man did not even come close to Sarcone with a weapon. And so even though local prosecutors had charged this man from El Salvador with attempted murder, it was downgraded to a misdemeanor. This is John Sarcone. Okay, I'm still going. Apparently, Sarcone stated in an affidavit, because you know what that means, affidavits, that his in-district residence was a boarded up and vacant building in Albany's Sheridan Hollow neighborhood. In response to this reporting from the Times Union, the U.S. Attorney's Office dropped the Times Union from the Northern District of New York's media distribution list. Sarcone is also on record having said that Democrats are, quote, evil. These jobs as United States Attorney are so important. They are the top federal prosecutors in these particular jurisdictions. And instead of putting people there that are going to keep those communities safe, that are going to ensure that the rule of law is defended, that they're going to run an office that's going to be staffed with competent people. And by the way, you know what? I'm going to say in fairness, these line prosecutors that are kind of stuck in this kind of like purgatory of hell of having to serve in these roles. I mean, listen, maybe some of them like the fact that it's Alina Habba, who knows? But here's the thing, like they need to continue to do their job with clear leadership. And clear leadership is not defined by an Alina Habba tenure as the U.S. attorney. So it's a showdown. I mean, if you look at all the headlines right now, it says showdown, and it's accurate. But it is very Mean Girls. It's very petty. It's very small-minded. It's very childish, and it's very serious all at the same time. But this woman, Desiree Lee Grace, I went to her LinkedIn profile yesterday to kind of check her out a little bit more. This woman has had so much pride in the job that she has done as a federal prosecutor. She's a career public servant. And this idea that she is now being branded in some way as being complicit, or that she had some role in getting, which otherwise for her probably was her dream job, to be the United States attorney, I think it's disgusting. But I'm not surprised, right? That this type of behavior that is just churlish and childish and disgusting is coming at the hands of Pamela Jo Bondi, Alina Habba, Todd Blanche, and others. Not surprised. It's par for the course. But we should be watching these things carefully because it shows, again, another level of defiance of judicial orders, because this is a judicial order appointing this woman. And now we have an attorney general who says, screw your orders, federal judges. I'm going to fire this woman, even though she can't, as the attorney general. Be mad, be outraged, demand accountability. Watch this space always here at the Katie Phang News Channel. Spread this video. Tell others to subscribe so we can continue to build a high information America together and people can understand what's at stake and really how everything is happening behind the scenes. See you soon. Katie Phang here. We launched the Katie Phang News Channel in partnership with the Midas Touch Network so we could bring you the latest in legal and political news. Straight, no chaser. So if you're a fellow truth teller, hit that subscribe button and share the word about this channel so we can build a high information America together.